Hello, everyone. How you doing? Hey, James.
Hi.
How you going there?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. I'm very well. I'm very happy that you've chosen to join us tonight. Much appreciated. I'm very happy that there was no issue with the time zones because it's the first one where it hasn't been summertime. And last year there was an issue with that, but this time not. It's been a smooth transition from summer to winter time. There you go.
Indeed.
Um, but yeah, Jeff, what the hell was that? That was my new overlay that I've decided to go for this team PBIX. Just because I was inspired by a Twitter type conversation, I thought I'd quickly put together a new overlay for my live streams just to upset some people. And yeah, so that's what that is. Whether and just so that's I'm not making that's anything to do with James. That's just me, okay? James, where you stand on that is your own thing.
PBix,
Pe-
PBIX. I don't really care.
No, not
Is
really,
that
honest.
is that is it? It's like pineapple on pizza. I don't care. Either way.
I think it's one of those things that the more people discuss it, the less I care. I always just said PBIX because it just seemed I saw it and my brain does that with stuff. But if people start to have really strong opinions, I'm like, I don't care. Just have pronounce it how you want to pronounce it.
It's,
That's my opinion.
yeah. It's,
Yeah, egal, egal.
yeah. I have opinions about all sorts of stuff, but not that.
Well, we'll get to all those. I promise. Before we get to all those opinions about all those random things, would you like to introduce yourself and tell the world or people who you are and what you do?
I've just seen Jeff's comment about Deneb. There you go. I think I've answered that. Um, sorry, but yes.
No.
Hi, everyone. I'm James Dales. I'm based in the UK. I work for a consultancy firm, Avanade. Um, what else can I say?
Whatever you
Probably
want.
best known in the Power BI world for maps and a
Yeah.
custom visual that I have been writing now for too many years. Um,
I love that the frustration maybe starting to come through there already. I don't know.
no,
But it has
it's all
been a while.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Maps. This is primarily what I know you from. The icon map for me was an interesting thing because maybe actually before we start talking about it, tell people what is the icon map? What's that all about?
Um, so, so Icon Maps are custom visual for Power BI that has been around for a long time. Let me tell you the backstory then.
Yeah.
Tell you where
You're
it
right.
came from.
Yeah. Jeff's kicking off
Go-
already.
I know
Pipe down, Jeff.
it's definitely an icon. It's definitely not a logo in this case. um, so yeah, so where did it come from? So it probably came after a few customer projects. So right in the early days of Power BI. In fact, the very my the very first project where I ever had to do a map in Power BI, I had to I had to you've all probably seen my famous example I do with icon map showing planes on the map.
Mm.
I had to do that, but the problem was this was before icon map existed. Um, so there was no way of doing it in Power BI. And then, of course, this was pre-custom visuals, and it was a 4-week proof of concept. And then the very last week of the project, Microsoft released custom visuals. And it's like,
Okay.
oh hell! Suddenly, I've got to write a whole map visual in in a week, because little circles didn't really cut it for the client. So,
Fair enough. Yeah.
and so the very first incarnation of map visual in Power BI, lots of hard coded stuff, pretty nasty behind the scenes, but
Okay.
it could put pictures, um,
Mm.
and different pictures as well in
Mm.
different places on the map, all
Mm.
data driven. And that's where it came from. I don't know how many years ago that is. As long as custom visuals have been in Power BI, what's that? 6 years, I would
Yeah,
guess,
it's a good
5 or 6
while.
years.
Wow.
And then there were other projects that
Mm.
needed maps, and I sort of became the person to go to for different maps. And then
Mm.
um, it got to the point that I'd done a few of these and thought there's such a gap here in the
Hmm.
product that I'm going to release it to the community on what was then the Custom Visuals Marketplace. So rewrote it completely from scratch over one Christmas. I think I
Wow.
got up at 5 in the morning before the kids woke up and got a good couple of hours in every morning. And then, by the end of the week, I had something that was functional enough, performant, and worth releasing. And that
Cool.
was three versions ago. So we're in to incarnation number 3 now.
Okay. Nice. I So one second. It was first available to the general public when?
I don't know. I'm going to say 2018,
Okay, as soon as that.
2018, something like that.
That's interesting. It's a weird thing because for me, it's something that I mean, I think I mentioned this already to you once before regarding when I first started seeing the maps because I've never until I saw Icon Map, I just did not like maps in Power BI because of the general standard, the misuse. I mean, as you said yourself, it's a circle. The circle's bigger when the cells are bigger. The standard thing, like maps that don't need to be maps, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was Discover EI. I always forget the name of this the company in Australia. And that's when I started realizing that this icon map exists. And I was like, how are they doing this? How can you do this as maps? I'm like, am I missing something here? And then so
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I've got them to thank for having so many people in Australia using it.
yeah, do you have any metrics on that? Who's using it where?
I have, yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
Discover
no,
EI.
I've got no means of tracking who's using it. The only means I've
Okay,
got is who sends me support requests, of which
okay,
there
fair enough.
are
So,
many, many, many. So if you're waiting for me to get back to you, I was on holiday last week, so
hmm,
um,
hmm.
I've got a bit of a backlog, should we say? But
You'll
I will catch up.
you'll get there eventually. Discover EI, is that I'm saying it correctly? Discover EI or Discover L? Please correct me. I always say just Discover EI, but then again, I say PBIC, so I got history of pronouncing things incorrectly, I suppose. There you go. But yes, this is what Daniel's referring to. I saw it in all the maps and stuff. And yeah, I always have this. I mean, I've used it. First one is correct. Okay, fantastic. I've used it a bit, not as much as I want to. I wish I had more opportunity to use maps and stuff in reports because it's just. I mean, I could imagine that from where you were coming from, it was maybe an area of perhaps I don't know frustration of what you could achieve in the native maps, or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I can't believe Jeff's just managed to pick out of the Twitterverse my tweet on it from January 2018. So I was
That's
right.
that's
It
very
was a good
impressive.
guess.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
How did you manage to find a tweet from 2018? You got some seriously good stalking skills. I'm impressed and
Yeah.
concerned.
No, I probably don't tweet enough then, if you can scroll back that quickly.
That's
Good skill.
very, very, or maybe you tweet the correct amount. But yes,
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
yeah.
So I don't know. So what are you using it for then? You said you've discovered it in the last couple of
Playing,
weeks.
it was just playing. I mean, because I mean, it was primarily after Denmark when we met in was it Power BI Next Step, right? And it was a classic example of being aware of something and looking at something, but not really doing anything about it until it was kind of like forced down my throat in the nice way, you understand? Because I saw your presentation, I was like, that could be interesting. I've seen this as being kicking around, and I played it, and it's just I don't really have the data to warrant map usage most of the time at work, and also the data that I play with tends to be like sports data, you know. But
Well,
it.
most maps could probably be a bar chart, right? The ones that you see on a report.
Oh yeah, on reports for sure. I mean, it was an amazing example of a map I saw a while ago when I first started at the company I work for now, and someone had created a report, and there was a map on it, but the map was like so tiny you could barely see anything. And I said to the person who built the report, "Why is the map there?" And they said, "Oh, the people who." It's not funny, I'm laughing. They said the people who requested the report actually didn't want a map, but the person who created the report really liked maps, so just put the map on anyway. Just next, it basically was a bar chart and then the map next to it. It was just so small to be of no use. And I'm like, it's for me that was a classic example of a map usage in a Power BI report. Just there was no need for it, you know. So this is why generally I've been very against, not very against, but for always just kind of overlooked playing around with them, all that kind of stuff. But now that inspiration to do so has come from icon maps, which is very cool. Do you still like actively develop it, or is it more like a maintenance thing now?
There's still a lot I want to build into it.
Yeah, okay.
It's a difficult balance between helping people use it versus finding time to build more functionality into it, unfortunately, at the minute.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, no, I've got some cunning plans that I won't divulge now, but
Fair enough. Fair enough.
fairly major new features that will
I like it.
expand things even further. And
I
yeah,
like Rishi's admission here. I think I hold the record for producing the worst maps with that gun map.
I would struggle to disagree. Sorry, Rishi.
he offered it himself, so there you go. Yeah,
All good.
it's
all good.
it's a classic thing. It might be a fantastic tool to make some great maps, but it can still be misused to whatever, make some unnecessary or big I don't know, random visualization somewhere. But it's a great thing. I mean, the presentation that you do with the airplane thing is very cool, I gotta say. It's such a perfect use case, especially with the airplanes getting smaller as they land. It just, for a presentation, is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. The one you saw was animated, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I
I love
loved
a
it.
bit of play access for a demo.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But no, it works. It's a very, very impressive thing to have. Yeah, maps blow everyone's mind, and rightly so. Everyone look, but it's the same with everything. Like, if you do it well, it looks great. If you do it badly, it's just massive blobs on a
Yeah.
thing. But there you go. Actually, this is a good point. One second. Does Icon Map support nesting pie charts in it? There you go.
Short answer. No. Long answer. It does if you're good with SVGs.
All right. There you go.
Yeah, I get asked for pie charts a lot, but I don't understand why. We've got two visuals in Power BI that already do pie charts
Yeah.
on maps. We don't need a third. Nobody needs more pie charts.
But hang on a sec. Is Microsoft hates Greg still in the chat, because he uses you can use his tool that I can't pronounce to maybe use SVG, because you can use with Microsoft hate Greg quick measures. I'm going to give it its full title because I can't pronounce it any other way. You can create very nice SVG gauges. So maybe you can
Yeah,
adapt that for the pie charts.
yeah. I've got some. I've got some cool use cases with SVGs,
Okay.
producing almost like 3D bars on map, because it doesn't do 3D bars. Again, we've got a different visual that does 3D bars. But if you want to
Hmm.
combine your 3D bars with planes and show the flight paths up and down, then that's quite a nice little hack for it, especially if you change the colors depending on speed and stuff like that.
Uh-huh. I like it. I like it. Okay. I'm gonna have to get some data and really play around with this and see what I can come up with. It's all about playing. You never learn anything unless you play, right? This is especially what
Yeah.
I've been doing with Deneb, producing things that are ridiculous, such as thermometers.
Oh, your Deneb's amazing. Deneb is something I need to find a lot more time to do, but I've dabbled, shall we say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Problem is, some of the time, if it's something new like Deneb, I can probably write custom visual for it quicker than I can trying to learn Vega Lite. But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, Deneb's made a world of difference at work. Loads of people using it.
Cool.
Well done,
Very
Daniel.
nice.
If you're on here
Yeah,
still, it's
he
amazing.
is. He is. He's here in all the continents and the love. Yeah, I had a colleague today who started to ask me a couple of Deneb questions. He wants to do this, that, and the other, and which tests my knowledge, because it's one thing kind of doing it on your own. It's another thing, how do you do that? And you've got to kind of think without typing, or as my favorite thing to do is kind of copying and pasting from my own code and just adapting it. That's the thing. The copy and pasting is, for me, is just so wonderful. Create a new mark, copy paste it, change some stuff, finished, done. Love it.
Yeah,
Love
well,
it.
it means I don't need to get my head around Charticulator anymore. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, yeah. But there was this thing about Charticulator, whether it was it's still being supported, which is being supported, but it's not being, new features aren't being added, I believe was what was the conclusion. I don't want to give any misinformation there, but it was like, I think Jay was saying this on Twitter, that they support it in that they make changes to it and they'll make sure it doesn't break. But I think new functionality is not going to be added to Charticulator, which is not so
It's
great.
it's not entirely surprising.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is what, when people say things like, "Oh, Microsoft should buy Deneb," I'm like, kind of also, please don't, because I'm not sure if that would be a good or bad thing for Daniel. Probably pretty cool. But at the same time, what if they just suddenly stop supporting and all my knowledge just goes to waste and all that fantastic visualization loveliness just disappears? Yeah, we shall see. Greg Phillips on Enterprise DNA did a great job on a Deneb course. He did indeed. Lots of nice Deneb courses and the like. Anyway, mate, James, other than Icon Map, what do you like? What's your passion and joy within Power BI and data?
Yeah, within Power BI and data,
or,
um,
or, or the world in general.
or the world in general.
I keep it specific within the topic, but I'll
Yeah,
also talk about literally anything you want. You understand that, right?
yeah. Let's stick to data then for now. Um, I don't know. Community, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Um, uh, I think you had Prathi Kamasani on here a few months ago, a few weeks ago. I don't know, I can't remember when it was.
Few months, yeah.
So Prathi and I look after London Power BI user group.
Right, of course.
That Prathi started long before I got involved, but been doing it now for 3 years, I want to guess. So it takes quite a bit of attention. We've got some great speakers coming up. So community is a big thing. Go to conferences, meeting people like you in amazing places like Legoland.
That was very
That's
cool.
pretty special.
Yeah.
Best conference location ever.
They said that next year they were going to do it in Copenhagen and not Legoland. I was like, oh, Legoland is so cool.
It was, but I've seen enough Lego now.
Fair enough. I think maybe it's also the, like, I didn't book the main hotel for the expense, and then when I went to leave, I went to the shop to buy some Lego for my kids, and I think I just miscalculated the exchange rate, and I spent far, far more than I expected.
Yeah, let's hope my kids don't find this on YouTube, but I didn't tell them where I was going.
Oh, I love it.
So I didn't come home with any Lego.
Oh man, I think I came home with 200 euros worth. It was ridiculous. I was like, yeah, I'll get that and that. That should be fine. And then, okay, this, and that's enough. And then I checked my bank balance when I got home, and I was like, what's this 200 euro charge? This is weird. Where's it coming from? I checked, and I was like, oh, I made a terrible mistake. Fantastic. That's good. So yeah, but I understand it's if you get Legoed out, and better than Newport. What's Newport about? Oh, because of
SQL Bits in March is going to
Bits.
be in Newport in Wales.
Yeah, interesting. Will you be there?
Will I be there? Hopefully. Hopefully. Kind of need my session to be selected, but I'm sure I'll be there regardless.
Yeah.
Will you be there? It's a long way from Berlin.
Probably not, because that time of year. When is it? When?
March. I'm going to hazard something around the 14th to the 18th, but I'm making those dates up.
I'm going to be in the UK over Easter, and then maybe also in the UK before. So I think it might be one too many trips to the UK in about 4 months. So for trips and for money, I think maybe it's not. But we shall see. I'd love to go because, Next Step was my first experience of a conference, and I very much liked it. So I don't want to be my last. And it looks a lot of fun, especially that they have a theme, right?
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons this year.
Dungeons and Dragons, that could be cool. I don't think trying if I get a sword in my hand luggage. I'm not sure if they're going to be okay with that, but I can try my best, right? Bring some kind of
Well, know a man who can advise you on bringing swords to Power BI events.
very good point. Very good point. Roche's other maxim.
Indeed.
And the Power BI cruise is also an interesting one.
Yeah, that's one way of making sure that people sat in the sessions and not sloping off to do other things.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go.
I would be horribly seasick. I think I mentioned this. My surname is Ferry, and I understand the irony of a person called Ferry getting very seasick, but I do. So I will be totally skipping that one because I don't think it'd be fun sitting next to me with my sick bag during a presentation of a Power BI, well, anything basically. So cool idea though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but yeah, not for me either.
No. Maybe some other interesting event that doesn't move and bounce around quite. My strongest memory of being on a ferry is when I was like 18 years old, and I was actually coming back from Berlin, from a trip with my school or college or whatever, and the sea was like really rough, and it couldn't dock. Is that what it's called? It couldn't dock. Oh my God. I was just lying there with my eyes closed and just like, don't move, don't look at anything, and it'll be okay. It was like 4 hours, man. Yeah, I was dying.
Oh, nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I don't really get seasick. I'm hopeless in a car. I can't sit as a passenger in the car. I have to drive. But
Okay.
boats, I'm fine. It's weird.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Oh man, but yeah, Ben's washing his hair. Exactly. I'm washing my hair for that event, so I won't be actually thinking. You mentioned before about the Power BI Next Step and Prathi. I had this fantastically awkward moment with her because she looked at me. Did you see this? Or I'm not sure who was that. She looked at me and she was like, "I recognize you," and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah." I said, "Maybe I do a couple of YouTube videos and stuff." She's like, "Have I met you?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think, yeah." And it was like 5 minutes later, I went back and said, "You were on my show, I'm sure." And she said, "Yeah, he said that I was." And neither of us could fully remember. It was quite a bizarre situation when neither of us were like sure. I was like, "I'm sure I've met you somehow." Strange.
I can't believe that either of you were memorable enough to remember each other after.
It was bizarre. I think if she hadn't have been unsure, I would have been sure. But when someone else is unsure, you're like, "Am I crazy? Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure we did this, but now I'm less sure." So I'm just like looking at each other, going, I don't know." And then we both walked off, asked someone else, and they're like, "Yeah, she was on your show," and she asked him, and then we kind of reconnected and said, "Yeah, that's when we know each other," because actually speaking to each other for 45 minutes on the internet. What are you gonna do? It can get confusing. It can get confusing. Yeah. But obviously, yes, for me, also community is a big thing because it's a lot of good fun, and having conversations like this where you just chat about random stuff, be it Power BI or hobbies inside or outside data.
Yeah. My hobby's a bit of a sore point this year, sadly.
Are we allowed to talk about it or not?
We can certainly talk about it. It's not that interesting. I used to do quite a bit of mountain biking, but I fell off.
Oh no!
Injured myself.
I'm sorry, mate.
Quite badly compared to the speed of the crash, which was a bit upsetting. So I had 2 or 3 months out this year due to injury. Not being able to sit down for most of last year has not been particularly fun. So
yeah, that's, I guess, without going into the specifics, that does not sound like a fun situation in which to be.
No, I won't go into the specifics for anybody who's queasy because it's not very pleasant.
Fair enough. Yeah, we can speak about that afterwards. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But But I see you're
Oh
sitting
dear.
down now, so
I am
that's
sitting
good to
down
see.
now. Yeah, I'm just getting used to being able to sit again. I bought this chair 2 days before it happened. That was a good move. So I'm only just getting used to it. But I did have to buy a standing desk.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
one good thing came out of it.
Yeah, fair
You
enough. So can't wait for the outtakes. Exactly. Well, I always quite often when I do these live chats and stuff, when we've stopped being live, sometimes I wish I just kept being live because there's always like a 5 minute conversation. Stuff comes up. It's like forgot to mention that or that kind of stuff, you know. So yeah,
yeah.
but for the as you say for the faint of heart, then let's leave out. Just want to go straight to this comment because it reminded me of something. Thinking about DAX because I've been having a very DAX heavy day. So this is just not for us. I'm behind with the 25. Does anyone do you do 25 days of DAX at all? I don't do it.
No.
And
No.
sorry, please.
No, I was going to say my philosophy with DAX is if you're writing too much DAX in your data models, not right.
That's very reasonable. Can't disagree with that.
No, I appreciate that's probably a bit simplistic, but I try not to do DAX if I can help it.
It's a good excuse to just not do DAX, right? I mean, to stay away. I mean, my day to day really shows me that I should do more DAX because it was a ridiculous situation. Because I solved my DAX issue with Deneb. Yeah. So that's
So
wrong.
how many times do you have to write really complicated DAX to get around the limitations of Power BI visuals specifically?
But should I tell you what my limitation was? What I was trying to do? Basically, it was just this is very simple. So feel free to judge me, okay? It was simply same day. So basically, no, not same period last year, but rather Monday of this week last year, right? So I've got year, week of year, day of week. But I don't want to do I don't want to do like the 3rd of November last year because it's a different day of the week, right? And I want to compare the same days of the week because it makes a difference on sales. If you can't compare a Sunday to a Monday, for example, right? And what I wrote, and which I use all the time, it doesn't work unless you put date into it. But I didn't want to show with date. I just wanted to show the sum, right? So it doesn't show anything unless you have date on it. So I just realized I was using a Deneb anyway. So I put the date into it, didn't use a date. Deneb automatically shows that aggregation, and then I just aggregated via sum, and then it worked. It did make me feel very stupid because I know for a fact that I should have been able to do it, and what I did didn't work. But I was like, you know what? It works. I can roll out the report. I was using Deneb anyway, and I didn't care anymore.
Did you try whatever it's called, suggested quick measures?
Oh,
Have
I
you
forgot
seen
about
that?
that.
You see, you could have just told Power BI what you were trying to achieve, and it would have written all of that complicated DAX for you.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't have worked, but it would have been, it would have been closer to what I had.
I would love to know how useful
Oh
it is.
man. Actually, Microsoft hates Craig. I tried to use Magishkukum to do as well, but I couldn't find. I was like, maybe there's something in there, but it didn't work. So I went I went with Deneb. So if anyone was listening to what I said and they have any idea what I'm talking about, and you're thinking, Ben, you're a fool, you should have done it this way, just DM me. And then I'll just copy your work into my report, and I'll be happy with that. But yeah, so Deneb came to the rescue in that regard. Oh my god, I felt like such a fool. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, but stuff like that, if you can do it in the visual layer without having to write loads of DAX, it's going to be more performant, right? It's going to be faster.
Yeah, but then if someone else takes over the report and they're like, what the hell's going on here? Because
Yeah.
not everyone can Vega Lite, which is unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah, fair point.
But it saved me like 6 hours or something, so I stopped caring. I was like, I'll the classic thing. Oh, I'll fix that problem later when I have more time, which everyone knows is never, because I will not have time, and it'll be another problem that's more pressing because it's that's a problem that's on your desk at that point. But yeah, so I felt like I shouldn't be any person who ever comments on DAX because I couldn't do that, and it was very upsetting indeed. What are you gonna do? Anyway, M's better anyway. Power query, M.
And, yeah.
No?
Oh, I'm sounding pretty bad now, aren't I? So I don't
No.
like DAX. It's not that I don't like DAX. I'm just not good at it. M and Power Query. Power Query is massively powerful, right?
Yeah.
I guess it depends what you're trying to do with it, but most of the time, if you're trying to do loads of really complicated transformations in M, I kind of feel like it
And
should have been done before it gets to Power BI, depending what it
mm,
is. If it's
yeah.
if you know if you've got a if it's enterprisey stuff, and it probably should. If it's self-serve, then that's different.
Yeah. I feel that most of the power of Power BI actually comes from Power Query. I think that's where most of the power of Power BI rests, is the Power Query side, and the rest is just, a bit of BI. But you're of course right. This is the classic. Well, we're gonna go to the whole Roche's maxim thing or whatever. As far whatever it is, you know what it
Yeah,
is.
no, you're right.
Yeah,
That's exactly what that is, isn't it?
yeah.
You see, Matthew agrees with me,
There you
or I
go.
agree with Matthew, whichever way round. I think
Well,
he's.
for the sake of today, let's say he agrees with you. You're here, he's not. So, um,
Oh dear. So I
yeah.
Jeff had a good comment further
Did he?
back.
Where is he? Oh, I missed all the
Way,
comments.
way, way, way back. He said, "What are my three peeve points?"
Ah, your pet peeve, the classic. I love
Yeah,
it. Go for
peeves.
it.
That's a good question. And in the background, I've been trying to think what they might be,
Oh, okay.
because I've
Okay.
probably got more than three. Um,
If you can't keep it at three, feel free to go for a
no, no,
five.
no, no. Well, I've got loads of them, but they're all to do with maps. So
Okay. Nice.
the ones that aren't, are some really little features that I would like to have. One,
Nice.
custom visuals, the ability to trigger bookmarks. Imagine, so at, at the moment, you can't have a custom visual do things like navigate to another page.
Mm.
So we can't have any nice navigation controls. We're stuck with using page navigator or buttons.
Mm. Yeah.
Other thing, yeah, you see, look, people agreeing with Daniel.
Yeah, I know. So
He
there's some
knows where I'm coming
strong
from.
opinions there.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, and well, exactly, slices triggering bookmarks, exactly that. Um,
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
the other thing is multi-language. I'm working on multilingual projects at the moment, and it's such hard work.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, it's just way harder than it needs to be. I had
It
another
was.
one, but I can't remember what that is.
It's all
Oh,
good.
oh yeah. Um, most of it's fixed now, but conditional formatting on everything in the right places.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything.
Like, we got data labels last month in October release.
Mm.
Finally, you can change the color of a data label,
Mm.
but you can't change the color of the background of the data label.
Yeah.
Surely, if you were putting the foreground
Yeah.
color in, it would have made sense at the same time to have changed the background color.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
the code's next to each other.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
can't have been that hard to do. So little things like that, like spending. I I have some sympathy for the team. I know the pressures are under, and I know even adding one little thing like that then results in them having to write a whole load of extra
Mm.
testing, and they've got to check for accessibility and all of that.
Mm.
But it can't have been that much more work to do that kind of thing.
I mean, if you can change the color, like if a color can be changed, then the conditional should be there. This is pretty much. I think we agree on that. That's the part I don't understand though, because if you roll it out for one thing, for me it would have been easier just to roll it out for everything. Maybe not at the same time, like incrementally, kind of do to test to make sure that it's not causing any problems, but to have conditional formatting and then wait so long for the other stuff. Like my big one is I want to conditionally format the canvas. I would love to be able to conditionally format an actual entire page. I don't understand why I can't do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Be-
that's true. Yeah,
If you look at it from a really I mean, it might be a little bit much. It might be excessive. But if we look from like a dashboardy type page, are things bad? If things are bad, it is a different color. A basic sort of thing like that. But why not? The color's right there. You can choose it. You can select it. Let me conditionally format it. It's just an object. Again, I'm from my perspective. I have no idea about creating custom visuals or any of this stuff. I just see the selection, so I make that assumption. Um, yeah. Oh, and Johnny's also talking about your
Oh,
bilingual stuff.
was that for
Oh,
last year, Johnny? I guess this year, given it's in Wales, in a bilingual country, it might be more popular.
that's a good point. I was working on a bilingual pet project, was going to present in bits, but the session didn't get selected. So a bit of English, Welsh.
Having spent years supporting a Welsh BI solution for the Welsh government, Stats Wales,
Cool.
I can have some sympathy for that. I've
Imagine.
learnt some select Welsh from my time working on that project.
That's pretty cool.
Lift i lawr, lift going down.
Very good.
Lift über mich, lift going up.
That
So
sounded a little bit. That sounded a little bit German, by the way. I like that. It sounded like you were saying "Lift über mich."
lift über mich. Yeah, the lift is indeed over me. Vielleicht
did
nicht.
did you? I'm impressed. Did you see that story years ago about if you have to get something translated for a Welsh road sign, you have to send it to one office. So you'd write what you wanted on the road sign, and then you would send an email to the people who do the translation, and then the email back and it goes on the road sign. So the people, this is a real story. You can find it on the link in the news somewhere.
Yeah.
And so they sent the email, and it said, no left turn, whatever. So sent off, got the email back, put on the road sign goes up, and it says in English, no left turn, whatever. In Welsh, it says, I am out of office. Please contact blah, blah, blah. Because, of course, they didn't double check it. They had an automated email that this person was out of office, printed it in Welsh on a road sign. I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You can just see it happening, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. And also, it was a long time ago. Not massively long, but I think it was maybe a good 10 years, whatever, before online translation tools were very easily accessible. Because for me, if now someone sent back, I would just quickly put it in DeepL just to see what was going on, So that might have saved a bit of embarrassment, but yeah. It was English to Italian. It was his report. I thought you meant the road sign. I was about to say no, it wasn't. How dare you? Johnny's report was English to Italian. Yeah. I've never worked with multi-language. It sounds like a bit of a pain.
It was easier in analysis services multidimensional. Let's put it that way.
Okay, fair enough, son.
And that's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah. Yeah. But I remember I've never had access to this because I know we're talking premium feature now, which I've never really used. Wasn't there something in Power Query about detection of languages or something?
Yeah, I think there was. Yeah.
Not good?
Wrong way round. I know what languages it is. I don't need it to tell me. I just want it to show them.
Okay. Understand.
Yeah. But anyway, let's not
Sorry
talk
about
about that because I'm going to get wound up. Because
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So
too much of today trying to solve problems with that.
what do you give us a map pet peeve though? You said you had a few and some of the
map
maps.
pet peeves.
Yeah, come. You know you want to.
I would like the Azure Maps visual, which seems to be the future of all maps in Power BI, to not be able to crash Power BI. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, okay.
Because it ought to be really good, the Azure Maps visual. It's written using the same code library as the Mapbox custom visual.
Okay.
Which doesn't crash the browser. But
Fair enough.
sadly, I think it is supported, but I don't know if you've used the Mapbox custom visual recently. You add it onto your browser and all the help images are dead links, so they don't display anymore, which is
okay.
bit of a sad. It feels like it's out of love because
Mm.
Talk about this a little bit, because I would love to get this working in Power BI. I did get it working in the old Custom Visuals API, but not the new one. So Mapbox, this is getting a bit into it, but Mapbox have a old API, which is what Azure Maps Visuals written on, that's open source. And then they stopped it being open source and released a new version that you have to have an API key from Mapbox to be able to use,
Yeah.
that does 3D maps that you can tilt down and have all of a landscape, properly rendered in 3D, that looks really good. And
Mm.
I can picture loads of use cases for that, for like IoT stuff, with
Mm.
like proper 3D factories built on it, with all of the near real-time metrics and KPIs overlaid. And I got that working in Power BI with the old API, but I can't get it to build on the new one. Maybe I need someone like Daniel's help to get that working. But I'll have to find
Interesting.
I've got an old tweet out there. Jeff can probably find it.
He already has.
Of some screenshots, animated screenshots out there. It did look good. I'd love to have that properly working.
That's interesting. So, do you have much contact with Microsoft regarding maps and development and your tools, their solutions, or can you not answer that?
Not recently.
No. I love those
No,
moments when you think there's subtext.
yeah, but I think the whole thing with Icon Map is it's a bit frustrating. I would love it not to be needed.
Yeah, I understand.
I would love to work with Product Group to get all of those features in Azure Maps or wherever they want them. I can get my Saturdays back.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But I'm keen to work with them and help with that. I saw you had Mo on here.
I was just about to mention that exactly. Yeah, talking about what the shape map coming out of
preview, but not really.
Getting
Basically,
exactly.
they're getting rid of it and putting that functionality in Azure Maps, which it's so close to having been there for months. But anyway, it's.
I mean, it's a weird thing because for me, I get confused them as well because I think there's quite a lot of choice. That's actually a thing as well. There's quite a few maps that you can use within Power BI. So the fact that those will, I think you said, get merged together into one solution, Azure Maps, does make sense. Because if you look at what you're actually doing, to have to choose between different types of maps can also be quite confusing to the user as well. But if you're creating this, because I know with Deneb, when you have the two versions, you have the whatever the licensed. Am I using the correct word then? Not licensed. The supported. Certified. Thank you. The certified version. The non-certified version is one that allows you to use maps. Does that therefore mean that Icon Map can never be certified?
That's exactly what it means. Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
Get asked this on pretty much a daily basis.
Sorry.
No. People sending me emails asking if it's going to be certified, and it just can't be, because one of those criteria for certified visual is that it doesn't access any external resources to the Power BI ecosystem. And of course, all of those background maps, you can't. I think OpenStreetMap tiles are something like 8 terabytes worth of data, and that's not even all of them. There's no way you could store that, inside a Power BI custom visual. So it's got to go outside for those map backgrounds. So by its nature, it can't be.
I would have thought, though, obviously, again, I know pretty much nothing. Well, actually, literally nothing here. So I would have thought that it was kind of going through Microsoft and then going out to those external sources. And because it was doing
no, so because way custom visuals work is they work locally in your browser. It's JavaScript that runs in your browser. So if it's going to access maps or images or whatever it is, it goes from your browser to that resource. It doesn't go through Power BI unless it comes in through the data set. But so all external requests go out. So they can be dangerous, right? I mean, the whole point is I could be sucking all of that data out and sending it to my own private servers to squirrel away and make millions on But
Sell it to Google.
but yeah, so you do have to be careful, with
Yeah,
dodgy custom visuals you download on the internet. Who knows what they might be doing?
sure, understand. Speaking about using stuff and browser, that kind of stuff, do you have much issue with WebView 2?
Oh, two crashes today,
Today, yeah. Fuck yeah.
which is I haven't the issue that can't remember, someone from Product Group, wasn't it? They were tweeting about, I forgot who it was,
Yeah.
that's preventing Power BI from loading. I've not had that. It just
Yeah.
crashes randomly with a WebView 2 error. Click here to contact the community or something, whatever the error message is.
Mm,
It's not
mm.
entirely useful.
Actually, I have to send it because I spoke to Jay and someone else whose name I've forgotten, who's in my DMs, because he said if it happens, send me a dump file. And then with the dump file, I can assess what's going on. I had a bit of concern that what was in the dump file, because it was all
Mm,
work-related stuff. And like, I really don't want to get in trouble from work for sending. I mean, I know Microsoft don't care about what's in there, but my company might, right? So I need to kind of have a proper look to see what's in the dump file. It was very, very large. It was like over a gigabyte, which I found quite.
I don't know what's in there.
Hmm?
I don't know what's in there.
Yeah, no, I have to have a look. I expected a dump file to like not be particularly large, when I thought it was like over a gig, and I was just kind of like, that seems there's something going on there. So I'll have a look. But yeah, it's very annoying. It's very frustrating because it used to be I could preempt it because when it started to slow down, I knew it was going to happen. But it was a couple of weeks ago. It just stopped my Power BI from opening at all. It just nothing. So I had to force uninstall WebView 2, following the instructions that was given by Ed. I think Ed Hansberry tweeted those, which were very helpful. But it was luckily it wasn't my work computer. If it was my work computer, it would have been a nightmare because I mean, not everyone has access rights to do force uninstalls on the work device. But yeah, it was my computer. So what you can do.
Yeah, not ideal. It's still a preview feature though, isn't it, for now? So I only just turned it back on when I saw that it was going to go into GA imminently, potentially, and hence the tweets. So I thought I would turn it back on and see if it's still a problem. And then I had the two crashes today.
Yeah.
So I unticked the box again, and it's all been fine since.
I can't see it going into GA and these issues still being solved, because I mean, it happens quite frequently, and I was informed, as far as I'm aware, that it's going to be going to GA pretty soon, within like a couple of months, right? So if they could fix all those issues in that time, that would be impressive, but I don't think so.
Yeah,
It's very
well,
upsetting.
I'll be upset if I can't untick the little box to stop it crashing.
That might happen soon, mate. What are you going to do? But yeah.
Put up with it like normal, but it's all good. I feel with negative sometimes on these calls. Power BI is bloody good that we're quibbling about all these little niggly things. The rest of it makes up for it, right?
No, I think with this, of course, I agree. I mean, if people ask me about when I give trainings and when people talk about my Power BI, I'm very, very positive about it. I'd say all the things that I love, all the things that I enjoy, the fantastic things you can do, all the analysis. But because you use it every single day,
You take all that for granted. Yeah,
yeah, of course.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would never, if someone was asking me, now, I don't know much about Power BI. Can you tell me? There is no way I would ever start with a negative. I can speak for hours and have been known to do so about only the positives, so all the amazing analysis, all this new stuff that you can find and new skills you can learn and how you can see data in a much clearer way. All this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I was actually again, sorry to keep referring back to it, but in Denmark, I was speaking to a guy. It was me and Kurt. There was a guy from Faroe Island, and he said he was like, "Your Power BI, if you're all here at this conference, and you like it a lot, right?" I was, "Yeah, it's really cool." And he said, "Why do you all speak so negatively about it?"
Oh no.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so stop. And then we went on this like whole thing about, yeah, this is fantastic and it's so good, exactly what we're saying now. But you just forget, because all the things that are really good, they work so well, you know. However, like today, for example, and this relates to a conversation I was having with I forgot the guy's name. Not Miguel. Miguel is not his surname. The guy who's doing all the data visualization stuff.
Miguel
Uh,
Myers.
Miguel
Oh,
Myers,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
There's a few Miguels, isn't there? But
yeah.
yeah, Miguel
And
Myers.
Miguel Myers, and he was saying, like he's the one to ensure that when you create a vision, it's just not ugly by default, and it's not difficult by default. And this is what one of my colleagues had today, trying to do something just to make a visual look visually acceptable was a little bit of work for him, So it gets difficult in those regards sometimes to say to people, okay, yeah, I know this can be difficult. I know it can be a bit of work, but it is worth it to get beyond that and to see what you can produce, Yeah. One
I think
second.
that's slightly harsh, Jeff. I
What's he
think
saying?
you're saying all the things that work really well
Yeah.
aren't Power BI visuals.
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from. The likes of Zebra BI, where you just drag on one visual and suddenly you've got a whole report without having to do any work. I mean, they do a great job with that.
I think it's also the level that we're discussing as well. If you're a person who just wants to create some decent bar charts to display some visuals in a perfectly acceptable way, not particularly visually interesting, things don't have to be visually spectacular. They can just be there showing data in a clean way. To do that in Power BI, I think works pretty well. I have a bar chart. I have a random graph, that whatever you want to call it, column chart. You have your dimensions on it, displays data. It's okay. Does it well. But yes, it's also playing his bad cop to your good cop. So what are you going to do? Everyone plays a role in getting stuff done. One second, and also another from Jeff. What about a map parameter option, James? You are talking to Microsoft about that. Mim is always boasting about what Tableau allows there.
I'm not quite sure what that is.
Me
But
neither.
the mapping in Tableau is good.
Yeah. Okay.
It's probably as much as I want to say there, but
fair enough.
Tableau have done a lot around mapping recently. It's good.
Okay.
I'm jealous.
Visualizations in Tableau.
But
Nice.
if we had all of that in Power BI, there'd be no need for icon map.
Exactly.
And then what would I go to conferences and talk about?
Exactly. What would you do with your Saturdays?
Exactly.
This is
Finish my house. That might be nice.
Are you building a house, or you're redecorating a house? Should I say?
Renovating a house, and I've been since I moved in 9 years ago. I don't seem to be able to finish the last bit.
Okay. But the other main parts done, where most people spend most of the time.
Yeah. Well, yes, apart from one bedroom, which is still bare plasterboard that needs plastering, but I've at least got the plasterboard up, so that's a start.
I believe in you, mate. You'll get it done.
It will happen eventually. I just can't do plastering. That's the problem. That's why I sit there waiting for me to get around to finding a plasterer. So if you're in the southeast of England and are a plasterer, please get in touch.
Should we put your phone number on the screen, mate? So.
Oh dear.
Whereabouts is it you're located, by the way? I forgot about that.
I'm on the England, on the Sussex-Hampshire border in the south.
Okay, nice. So not so far from where SQL bits or SQL bits is going to be, or am I wrong?
No, that's in a different country, mate. That's Wales.
Yeah, just along the road, go around the bend, and then you're there, right?
To be fair, it's only about a 3-hour drive away, but
yeah, okay, fair enough.
But yeah,
it all takes. You need to get to some bigger motorways down there. It all takes so long on those little country roads, right?
Well, when you live in a country with no speed limits on your motorways, I guess things are different.
True. It's an interesting thing about that, the no speed limits on German motorways. When I moved here, that was one of the things I quickly realized it's kind of a myth, but it kind of isn't at the same time. Because English motorways, the speed limit's what, 70 miles an hour, pretty much, yeah? German motorways, oh my God, it's like, just pick speed. It goes from, whatever, let's go, it goes from 80 kilometers, right? 80 to 100 to 120 to unlimited to 120. If you miss a road sign,
Mm,
You have
yeah,
no idea what the speed. It's really so. Yes, there are large portions that have no speed limit, but there are also other large portions where it changes quite frequently. And I got caught out once because I missed the road sign. It just wasn't, and I was doing like I don't know, say 100 instead of 80 or whatever. It's confusing.
yeah.
But yeah. But for the large part, yes, there are large stretches with no speed limit, and they can be fun, but also terrifying when some car goes past you at like 240 kilometers an hour, and you're just kind of taking it easy with the kids in the car doing like 140 or something. It's like Jesus Christ, like the car shakes, something like just goes by you.
Uh,
Oh, it's
Scary.
crazy stuff. Anyway, mate, it's been a lovely chat, and it's been over the 45 minutes, and I don't want to
Oh
keep
yeah,
you
crikey.
keep
Well,
you too
thank
long.
you for having me
Yeah,
on. It's been
my
good to chat
pleasure.
to you again. Hopefully, see you
Yes.
in person again, in real life again, before too long.
Yeah, I think this. I could be wrong. You might be the first person I've ever had on one of these where I've actually met you in person first. I could be wrong about that, but I think you are.
There we go. And we only met a few weeks ago.
It's true, but still counts.
Yeah. Absolutely. I need to find an excuse to go to Berlin.
Yeah, do it.
That's what we're saying, isn't it? You need to find a reason for me to go to Berlin.
Yeah, Power BI event in Berlin would be cool. I actually spoke to someone about that. Just the putting the idea together to create some kind of Power BI Berlin event because I think it would be a great city to have it. So there's a couple of guys who run the user group, and I was thinking, what could be possible? Could we do something? So
My first ever Microsoft event was in Berlin that I
yeah,
ever went
nice.
to.
That's cool.
So yeah, I'd love to go back.
Well, it's an open invite. If you want to come across for a visit, or if there's actually an event, which would I suppose make more sense. But it's a lot of fun, a lot of cheap alcohol, and it's a very nice city to walk around as well. So it's nice if you have like a tour. It's a very flat city, very flat. You just walk around all day and you barely feel it. It's quite nice. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for joining. It has been wonderful, all about maps and pet peeves and the like. People in the chat, thank you so much. I completely forgot to mention, because I am very, very forgetful, that this was episode 50.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I feel I should have
Quite
made a big deal out of it, but I didn't have time to do it. So that's that's me mentioning at the very end, right? But yeah, thank you so much, James, and everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining and asking questions and just generally chatting. And I'm going to be back next week at the same time, probably back next week for sure. At the same time, probably, but I'll let you know. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.